Welcome to the Platinum Agent Podcast, where gold is just the beginning. I'm Renee Ruth, top producing agent, global real estate educator, and, believe it or not, a 2025 Grammy nominee. But today I'm here to help you hit the highest level in real estate. This is the Agent to Agent podcast designed to help you grow, scale, and reach platinum status in your business. Expect powerful strategies, expert insights, and real conversations about what it takes to dominate in real estate. And of course, I'm not doing this alone. My co-host Joshua is here too. He may not talk much, he is a dog after all, but he's got a nose for success and a talent for keeping me on track. So if you're ready to stop playing small and start thinking bigger, hit that subscribe button and let's go platinum together. Welcome to Platinum Agent Podcast. My name is Renee Ruth. I'm a global educator as well as a top producing agent in my area. And I did this podcast because I wanted to offer strategies to agents that provide expert ideas through interviews with people who are at the top of their game in their area. And I'm so excited today to introduce somebody who is doing that just now. Nick Harris, welcome to the podcast. Just really quick on you. You're in the Metro Detroit area, which is actually where I'm from originally. I grew up in Toronto, so you're not too far from my home and native land. But you have done something really amazing by dedicating yourself to empowering real estate agents to scale their business and achieve financial success. And I'm so excited to hear more about that and learn about how you got into this business of ours. So yeah, start there if you don't mind, Nick. Tell us how you got into real estate.
Yeah, thank you, Renee, for having me on. I'm super excited to share my story and just what's worked for me. I got interested in real estate. I did not go to school. I played college baseball, went and got a degree in health and exercise science, never had thought of becoming a real estate agent, not once. But I was interested. I can date it basically back to high school, where I was interested in real estate investing. And so I started to self-educate, YouTube, university, podcast, books, just try to pick up as much as I can. You can probably see quite a few of them behind me here, but started to self-educate on the real estate investing side of things because I knew I wanted to have a portfolio of rental properties and do some fix and flip. Moved past college, got a degree in health and exercise science, was a strength conditioning coach for a while, did some personal training for a while. Again, nothing to do with real estate, just continually learning because I wanted to get to a point where I could invest. And I had a switch at one point where I said, you know what, I want to get into the real estate industry. And so I didn't go directly into being a real estate agent. I actually worked for United Wholesale Mortgage. For any loan officers or any agents out there who have worked with United Wholesale Mortgage, you're probably familiar with them. They're the number one wholesaler in the country, and they're located in Metro Detroit. I started there. I was on the loan side of things. It was not client to client. It was business to business, right? I was speaking directly with loan officers. I was not speaking with the buyer or the person looking to refinance. I was speaking with the business owner. And there was a piece of that I really loved and a piece of it that felt like it was missing, and took 2 weeks to week number one study. Week number two, went and took my exam or took the test, passed it, and took a leap of faith. At that point, I was fairly young. My fiance at the time, who's now my wife, we were both younger. We didn't have kids at the time, so not a ton of risk in making a financial leap or something, a career change. And so jumped into it, went into it full force before I even got started. Again, I like to self-educate before I get into anything. So I was researching, interviewing, and having conversations with some of the top agents in my marketplace, but across the country as well, because when I got into it, I wanted to go full force. So was able to, and luckily those people were willing to have conversations with me, let me pick their brain a bit. And so I got into real estate, jumped into it full time, and that's where it all got started. It came from just an interest in real estate investing, and then one thing turned into another.
It's amazing. And that one thing turning into another has actually allowed you to consistently sell. This is huge, man. Over 100 homes annually. I have to hear a little more about that, but you've utilized strategies like circle prospecting, mentorship to build the success, which leads into kind of the pillars you've talked about for successful real estate. Have those played into what you would have described as the 3 essential pillars for your success?
Yeah, absolutely. So I view real estate success in 3 pillars. And I think it starts in order from pillar 1 to 2 to 3. And pillar number 1 is lead flow or local authority. We need some type of inbound or outbound lead generation strategies to work, because if we don't have leads, we don't have deals. So that's pillar number 1 is lead flow and local authority. Pillar number 2 is automations and systems, because once those leads come in, we need automations and systems and nurturing campaigns and different things to actually stay in contact with and move people along that process of actually buying or selling. And then pillar number 3, once we're past that, is scaling and freedom. How can we put ourselves in a position where our business is operating without us, where we don't have to work in the business, we can work more so on it. Most of us get into real estate because we want to be our own boss, we want to have our own time, and you quickly realize that is not something that is realistic unless you're doing these things. So how can you become the business owner of your business rather than just an agent who has a job? And so those are the 3 pillars. Yeah, I've been blessed to be able to close over 100 transactions, consistent years, 4 years in a row. And a lot of that came from just following these pillars, right? Very early on, I realized I needed to implement things from the very beginning and consistently in my business that were going to attract leads to me. So that was the lead flow and local authority piece. I needed to become the go-to agent in my marketplace in the area with the demographic and the geographic locations that I wanted to work with. And that's where it all started. And then systems and automations and things came along. And now I'm in a position where I have a transaction coordinator, I have showing agents, I have a buyer's agent. I don't have a team per se, but I have my own little mini team. And that's what's been most profitable for me.
Like a little nucleus. So I love that you're sharing that because there is a balance that's necessary in order to reach that kind of success. When you say 100 deals, and I think about the fact that I think last year I did 42 and was working myself to the bone to do that. I was like, there must be people helping you with this. So how do you manage to balance that lead gen, client relationship, and business systems? What's the balance? How do you make that work?
Yeah, so I encourage everyone. This is something that I did very early on. Again, I was a college athlete, and so I came from a world of a little bit of discipline, right? But it was forced discipline. I haven't been disciplined my entire life. It took some learning and training and adapting to. One of the biggest things that I did in my real estate career in terms of actually being able to create balance in my life was doing a time audit of my calendar. And so very on, what I did was, and I recommend that everyone do this, and I recommend starting on like a Monday because then you get a full 7-day calendar of what you're doing. And it's out there across multiple industries, and there's a lot of people that talk about this. But if you actually sit down to do this exercise, which is start on Monday and track every 30 minutes what you just did, right? So from if your day starts at 6 in the morning, you're going to track from 6 to 6:30, what did I do? Did I wake up? Did I drink water? Did I brush my teeth? Did I scroll Instagram or Facebook? What did I do in that 30-minute gap? Right? Sit down for 10 seconds based on that past 30 minutes. What did I just do? And then the same thing from 6:30 to 7, 7 to 7:30. And you will very quickly, like most do, and a lot of agents that I work with, and we do this exercise, you'll very quickly realize that you have hours in your calendar, not the few seconds that you think of availability. You have hours to actually do things that are productive and create balance in your life. So once you've gone through that exercise, what you do is I am very calendar oriented. So I live and die by my calendar. If it's not my calendar, number one, I'm not going to remember to do it.
Yeah.
And number two is it actually moves the ball forward, right? And I color coordinate my calendar. So what I recommend doing is take that time audit for a week, figure out what does that look like for you. And then anything that is personal, working out, date nights, hanging out with the family or kids, going to the park. I color coordinate all of that as purple personal. It just lines up with me. And so I plug all of those things in first. If I have date night scheduled with my wife, if I have my workouts, if you do meditation or prayer or dinner time or whatever it might be, plug the personal things in and you work around that, because that's the number one most important thing for everyone across the board is we want to get to that point. If you have a family or if you have friends that you're acquaintances with and you want to have that freedom in your life to spend time with them, right? So put those things first. From there, I put things in my calendar color coordinated based on green, yellow, and red. Green are income producing activities. Yellow is in the middle, and red is absolutely not going to produce income, not going to be fruitful, it's not fruitful towards my personal or family time. And it's also a really good way to look at your calendar and figure out, I did an audit of what I'm doing on a daily basis. Here's the time that I actually need to feel accomplished and do the things that I need. That's step number one. Step number two is you color coordinate so that those things are in your calendar, and obviously the goal is to get that calendar to be as green as possible, green and purple, right? And from there, it's also a good exercise to figure out what are the things that I can start to delegate or leverage out. What are the things that I'm doing on a regular basis that I don't necessarily need to be doing, I can have someone else do, right? And so that became a huge piece in actually getting my time back as well. I just encourage you to do that time audit for a week, figure out what you're doing every 30 minutes, color coordinate your calendar, put the things in there and stick to it. Make sure that if you're just eating lunch and you're not meeting with a client, you're not meeting with a referral partner, if you're not meeting with someone to move the business forward, that 30 minutes lunch slot is red. It's not doing anything for you. It's red, right? And so really be strict on what you do there. And that's something that has really moved my business forward. Not only allowed me to get more time back to do the things that I want to do, but also grow my business because now I know exactly what I need to be doing that has to be me, and what can I actually delegate or leverage out that can be done by somebody else.
I think that's a really great, that's gold. I hope anybody listening actually rewinds and writes that down. I do have a quick question when I'm thinking about doing that myself. The tech of it, every 30 second or every 30 minutes, are you logging this in on note on your phone? Where are you logging this?
Yeah, so what I recommend doing is like I have a planner that I keep on my desk on a daily basis.
Okay.
And if you get a calendar that has each day on the sheet, it'll have hour or 30-minute increments. And so you're just going to write in that little time slot. You don't even have to go and get a calendar, just get a sheet of paper and write it out. So you're going to put from the moment I wake up, whatever that is, 5, 6, 7, whenever you wake up, from 6 until 6:30, I put a slot and here's what I did. From
Yeah.
6:30 to 7, here's what I did. Just write it out, have a different sheet for each day, and then you can go back and take a look at it.
Full week of that. So, you know why I like that is because so many agents think they're working really hard, but if they actually sat down and calculated the hours that they do income producing activity, I did this with a guy in my office. He's like, Miss Renee, I didn't get any deals this past week. I said, how many hours did you work? And I love his honesty because he literally thought back and he goes, 3. I
Right.
said, I know
Right.
another job on the planet where you're going to work 3 hours and
Right.
generate business. Like, no,
Yeah.
you should be upset at yourself.
Yeah, even within that, why I recommend doing 30-minute increments is because most people cannot focus for more than about 15, 30 minutes. So even if you're claiming to put in your calendar you're doing lead generation hour, whatever that looks like, door knocking, cold calling, whatever that looks like for you. If you're saying that you're doing that from 9 to 11, I challenge you to put it in 30-minute increments because I can almost guarantee within that 2-hour time slot, even though you said you spent 2 hours lead generation, you jumped on your phone, you handled a few emails, you responded to some clients, you're on social media scrolling, you weren't fully focused for those 2 hours, right? So that's why it's a fun exercise because it absolutely gives you your time back. It's not so fun when you're in the middle of it because you quickly realize how unproductive you're actually being.
That's a pill you gotta swallow.
Yeah.
And better to find that out now so you can scale a business. Okay, now what do you do with agents as they try to prioritize? So once we've established this and they're trying to prioritize what they're doing, how can you assist them in avoiding burnout or not scaling to burnout?
Yeah, so everything comes back to those three pillars, right? So the first priority in any real estate business has to be lead flow or lead generation, and it has to be building a local authority. So if you do not have a local authority, if you do not have inbound leads coming in, we need to talk about that problem right away, right? What should we be doing on a daily basis? Oftentimes it can be what you enjoy doing, right? If you enjoy cold calling, cold call. If you enjoy having open houses, hold open houses. If you enjoy door knocking and so on, right? But a lot of that is dependent on what is actually working in the marketplace. How can you build a local authority and make your time most worth it? And so on that pillar number one, the best thing to do is create and it's across every industry. We hear it all the time with funnels and lead magnets, right? How every real estate agent wants to get to a point in their business where they have leads coming inbound to them. They don't have to go outbound. They don't want to make the cold calls. They don't want to host an open house. They don't want to go door knocking. They don't want to go to the networking event. So how can you actually create inbound leads coming in? And that comes from setting in funnels or lead magnets within your business. And so where I have found a ton of success with that and help real estate agents do this exact thing is to create that funnel, right? So we have an approach where we're sticking with one client niche, right? I always recommended people, for me, when I first started, it was investors. I came from at least an understanding or a knowledge of the investment space. And those were the people that I liked interacting with. Those are the people that I wanted to work with. The benefit of it is that it's a lot of repeat and referral business, right? Which also helped that transaction count go up. And and so that was my specific client avatar. That was who I was after. So everything that I did was targeted towards that demographic and in my geographic location. And so I set funnels in place and lead magnets in place to attract those type of people to me where I didn't have to go outbound any longer. My client avatar now are young professionals, young families who already own a home and they're looking to sell and upsize. Like that is my client avatar now. If you were to look at, and a lot of people get intimidated by this, is what if I do niche down only to first-time home buyers or only to investors? Like what happens to the rest of the business? I can guarantee you, if you actually look at the population size for most agents, if you look at the population size within your market, and you really think about how many first-time home buyers are out there, how many downsizers are out there, how many people are, whatever the case may be, it is way more than you think. And it doesn't mean that you need to turn everyone else away, But what it does mean when you actually narrow in on that client, you're going to get more business because of it, because you're viewed as the expert, or I like to call it like the Rolls Royce of the marketplace for that specific person. And they view you as the expert. You're no longer going to get the I'm just looking, or I'm working with another agent, or we want to interview other people, because you're setting yourself up as the expert and as the experienced person for that one thing. Like early on, I can't tell you how many times I worked with investors who were in my local market, bought an investment property with me, and then it turns out that they bought a primary residence or sold their primary residence with someone else. And that was a lack of knowing on my end. Now, there is an extreme to this, right? But I had positioned myself as the investment agent, so much so that people came to me for that. And it was great. Able to sell in most transaction a year was 121 transactions. But that comes with, again, that's pillar number two, which is now setting up the automations and systems to stay top of mind, stay in front of people, nurture people along the way. If they're saying they're going to buy in 6 months, we have a follow-up system for the next 6 months without having to think about it. It's already there. It's already a campaign that's going out. You're sending them valuable information, still viewed as the expert, so that when that time comes, they're ready to work with you. So I know that was a kind of a long-winded answer on that, but hopefully that answers the question.
No, that's fantastic. It actually segues right into my next question because so once you've done pillar one, pillar two, how do you take kind of these strategies and create and leverage this initial relationship into kind of repeat business? What is these systems looking like that you're
Yeah. Yeah, so it tracks back. So the relationship or the contact starts with the actual how you generate the lead, right? It's that pillar or that lead magnet. So you're putting out valuable information specifically targeted to your ideal client avatar who's going to reach out to you for a specific reason. The best way that this works within a funnel is all of your social media should be centered around that. You should be giving value around that specific scenario or that client avatar. You should be giving social media right now. If you're an agent in 2025, we all know the importance of being on social media and being known, right? But what we want to do is make all of our social media geared towards that one person. And then we have different opt-ins or different call to actions. You have different links in your bio to direct them to a website or a landing page where I have set up a VSL or a video sales letter. And it speaks specifically on, it's me speaking. You can have a slideshow. It can just be you. If you're afraid of getting in front of the camera, you can just do an audio on Loom, however you want to do that. But a video sales letter that once they actually see your ad, they see your content, they see your YouTube channel, they see your social media, whatever it might be that you're setting up and you're going out and getting clients with, they opt into or they click on learning more about it. And now they know if you're working specifically with first-time home buyers, that VSL or that video sales letter is an educational value piece telling them the process of what it's like to be a first-time home buyer, what to expect, what to stay away from, what to be sure of, the steps within the process. From there, I have a schedule a call. I have a schedule a call link. I use OneTub. You can use OneTub. You can use Calendly. There's a ton of automated booking platforms out there, but they book a call with you. I actually woke up this morning. I had 2 listing bookings on my calendar for the day and 1 buyer. All while I was sleeping, I woke up, it was on my calendar because of these funnels that are in place, right? And so from there, they book in, but their initial interaction with you, where they're gaining know and trust, is through the content or the lead magnet that you're putting out and through the VSL that they're watching to learn more education and educate themselves along the way. Now you've built that know and trust. They view you as the expert and they want to have a conversation with you. It's no longer a matter of them reaching out and interviewing 3 or 4 different agents. They're coming to you because you have put yourself in that position of authority. So they reach out to you on the booking page, you have a conversation, and all of the automation on my end, again, I use OneTub, so I have the ability to go in and when they do book a call, it's going to automatically send them a reminder the morning of, 1 hour before, 10 minutes before. I'm not doing any of that. It's automatically sending out to them so that it's for sure they're going to be coming to that meeting, and it's sending them a calendar invite, all of those things. And then I have nurturing campaigns that I put them on. So let's say it's a seller reaching out to me and saying, hey, we're thinking about selling, but we don't really want to do anything until December. Call it 6 months, depending on when you're listening to this. Say it's 6 months from now. We're not really thinking about selling until 6 months from now. On my back end and within my CRM, I now tag and operate accordingly, knowing that, hey, this is a 6-month potential nurture. They're not necessarily thinking about anything for 6 months. And so I have automated follow-up and nurturing campaigns and giving value that once I tag them with that, they're now getting that feedback. Earlier on, it's not going to be as frequent. And as we're approaching that 4, 5, 6 month mark, it becomes almost weekly that they're hearing from me on automation.
That's fantastic. Okay, so do you still have so clearly I've said this forever. In fact, I was just at a conference the other week and they were talking about AI and whether or not it's going to replace us. And I said, and the resounding opinion in this conference of top forerunners in the industry were that AI will not replace us, but agents not using it and leveraging it will be left behind. And they gave a time frame of between 12 and 18 months. It's so fast. If you're not implementing this, it could happen. So my question now, is there still value or a role for kind of the word of mouth marketing, grassroots ground? Does that still exist and is it still valuable?
Yeah, I completely agree with what they said. I think that I do not think because there's the personal element to being a real estate agent, I do not believe that AI is going to replace real estate agents, but the agents who are using AI are going to replace the agents who are not. I say that with almost 100% certainty that that's truly what I believe. If you're not using some form of AI, whatever that might look like, and it's obviously going to keep developing and things are going to come out, but if you're not using AI, you run a high risk of potentially being replaced or overrun within your market by the agents who are, because they're staying top of knowledge, they're staying most frequent with what's actually happening. Now, within AI itself, it depends on how you're using it, right? And whether it's just to create social media, because AI knows everything that your local market is searching. They know every restaurant, what are the top searches, what are the top parks, what are the events that people in your area want to know about, what are the questions that they have around buying and selling. And number one, like easiest way to use AI, I also use Answer the Public for a lot of my social media. So Answer the Public, you can go and it's very geographic as well, because that's questions that are being asked on Google about your specific market. And it gives you information of what are people asking and what are the answers to those questions and what's Google sending those people. And so again, that's a roundabout way. What was the initial question?
That is so funny. Do you have any, while we're on it, do you have any other AI tricks that you're leveraging since we're on AI for a second?
Yeah, so if you are heavy into social media content or you want to be heavy into social media content, this is a platform that not a ton of people know about. It's Poppy AI. I believe it's Poppy AI. And this is, you can do absolutely anything with your social media, whether you run a YouTube channel, whether it's just Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it is. That is the absolute best social media AI that I have experienced.
What does
And
it do?
yeah,
What
so it takes it a step above. It's primarily for social media or content creation, right? And so it takes it a step above AI. So anyone can go to ChatGPT and type in, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent in this market. My ideal client is this. I'm looking to help them with this. Give me 10 Instagram reel topics that I can talk about." And it's going to give you pretty surface level things, right? If you've ever tried that before, it's pretty surface level. You go into, you're like, I like 50% of it. I don't love any of it. And I don't like, 20% of it. What Poppy AI does is it's very strategic in what it does, and it actually allows you to upload. So let's say you have someone who is a master at social media within your marketplace, right? If you see another real estate agent who's succeeding at a really high level, you have the ability to drag and drop their content and create it within your own words, right? And it gets to know you really well versus the alternative of ChatGPT, which it really just learns the industry rather than learning you. And you can take that from anywhere. You can also take it from somebody who's in California and you're in Idaho and you say, "Hey, this is the top producer in California. This is the content that they're putting out. Take out the key features, the structure of this, the types of hooks, the call to action, when do they do it?" And it gives a much better response and gives you actual information of what you could be doing in your local market.
Interesting. So yeah, I think that might be, I haven't heard of it yet. So it's definitely something that you could move into to leverage. Anyone listening, check out Poppy AI. I'm sure they're gonna come out with more of them too as time goes on. Yeah, that was the AI question. The second question was, what is the future of grassroots in our industry? Because we were talking a lot about digital. Do you see any place for word of mouth or even, yeah.
Yeah, good question. And thanks for reminding me because I went on a tangent there. But yeah, I think that there is, right? And what you'll hear most often, I think it's one of the biggest myths in real estate as well, is that referrals is the best source of real estate business. Although referrals are great, they absolutely are. We all want referrals. They're also very unpredictable. Very unpredictable. You don't know when the next referral is going to be coming from, who's the next client that's going to be referring, where are they going to come from? There's no predictability. You cannot look at metrics on referrals and actually say, okay, within the next quarter, I'm expecting this amount of referrals just because you got that last quarter. There's no relevance to it. There's no metric to actually check with that. And although referrals are great, I think a lot of agents fall into this trap of thinking that they are the best source of business. Sure, we want it, but we don't want to rely on referrals. The answer to the question is yes, I still think that they're the boots on the ground, the referral basis, because the better experience that you give your clients, the more likely you are to have repeat and referral business. And we all want that within our business. But I think with AI and everything that's happening digitally and everything that's happening online right now, with whether it be just online presence with SEO, Google optimization, whether it's social media content, whether it's YouTube, whatever it might look like, those are the agents who are being recognized as the authority. And those are most often, if you take a look within your market, those agents are not the most experienced. They're probably not selling the most homes. They're probably not as educated as you are, right? We all have these things of I've sold more homes, I'm more educated, and probably, right? You probably know the documents better. You've probably closed more deals. But the reality is you never stand a chance unless you're putting yourself out there to actually be seen. And so I think that's where AI takes over is right now more than ever, people are going online, whether it's to Google or whether it's to social media, to look for the next restaurant that they're going to eat at tonight, to the brewery down the road. They're looking at what is the social media presence, what is the online presence, because that is where, and reviews are still important, but most people are actually going to social media presence and online presence before they go to reviews right now. That's how important it's becoming. And so if you're not using AI for those things to build that local authority, which is that pillar number one, it's lead flow and local authority. If you are not using AI or you're not working digitally to become known within your market, then you are going to fall behind, because if we just stick to referral and word of mouth, that's going to run out pretty quickly.
Absolutely. So now that we're working, basically you've provided the structure for us to build a business that's sustainable. What do you do on it? Because I get asked this all the time. If you're successful, everyone wants to know, what does your day look like? Everybody wants to know, what do you do? Like when you wake up. So how do you structure your day? What do you do to grow your business? What's your day look like?
Yeah. So if you are a real estate agent and you are not making the income that you want, I view it as, because everyone has different goals, right? The most common thing that people are searching is, how do I make six figures? How do I make $100,000 as a real estate agent, right? Go anywhere, and that's what people are searching. Most people want to get to that minimum standard of $100,000 a year in GCI or net income, whatever it might be. And if you are not in that position yet, your number one focus should be lead generation. It should be outbound, whether that's and figure out whatever is best for you and what you like. There is something out there for everyone, and everything works, right? There are gurus on open houses. There are gurus on calling for sale by owners or expires or probates or divorce listings. There are gurus on door knocking. It's out there. These things are out there because they work. Whether they're going to work for you or not is up to you to figure out if that's something that, number one, you enjoy. Number two, if you're going to stick with it long enough. But if you are not in the point where you want in your real estate business, your number one focus should be outbound. Now, that could be outbound in terms of open houses and cold calling, or that could be outbound in social media or using ads or reaching out through direct messages and following people within your local market. Your number one focus for the day should be outbound, just to try to make as many contacts as you possibly can. Again, that can come in many forms, right? Figure out what that looks like for you. I always draw it back to what is sustainable and what is something that works without me. So if my business solely relies on cold calling, I have to be present and I have to actively be cold calling, or have an ISA or a VA who does. That means if I go on a vacation for 2 weeks, I'm probably not getting any leads for 2 weeks, which means my business in 60 to 90 days from now, because I took that 2-week vacation, is completely dry. So that is an element, and that is something that supplements what you're doing. Like a big piece for me is circle prospecting. So around all of my active listings, all of my pending listings, all of my recently sold, all my coming soon, that's the listing side. When I have a buyer that goes under contract and it's an area I want to service, that's an element that I do. If I have a buyer looking within a specific market or a specific neighborhood, like there is that, but that should supplement all of the funnels that you're setting up in your business. And that's the outbound method of actually creating funnels. For most people, what I recommend, most people shy away from doing any type of lead magnet or ad, but for me personally, it has completely change the way that I operate business, right? I talked about it a second ago where I said just last night, because of these funnels that I've created through paid ads that are specifically targeting my geographic location and the demographic that I would like to work with, I had 3 appointments come in while I was sleeping last night, and I had three appointments this morning because of that funnel that was set in place, right? If you're not to that point yet, you should be going outbound, whether it's direct messaging people on social media, posting content, reaching out to your contacts. The easiest way for people, and I have 2 different outreach things here, one on social media, whether you're brand new or whether you're an experienced real estate agent in the market. Use social media to go outbound. And so what I do is I call it my social 333. Now you can pick, it's 3 categories, 3 people per category. You can pick whatever you like. If you have more time in the day, you might do 5 for each category. You might do 10, whatever that looks like for you. 3 follows, 3 comments, 3 direct messages, minimum per day. So I'm following 3 new people within my local market, whether it's the gym that I go to, a restaurant that I went to, and I'm just going into their followers because I know these people are interested in the same things. They're in the area. So I'm just going to follow 3 people. I'm going to send out 3 direct messages, just human conversation, nothing to do with real estate, just human conversation. Ultimately, what they're going to do is they're going to go and look at your page and see that you're in real estate, or at least they should. And then in conversation, sure, bring up real estate. And then 3 direct messages. So again, reach out, nothing to do with real estate. So 3 follow, 3 comment on their post, stay relevant, 3 direct messages. The other play that I recommend that you do, and again, if you combine these two, it will maybe take 10 to 15 minutes of your day, and you've already reached out to 20 people. So the other one is my SOI 5. So I go into my contacts. It's where most of my database is. Everyone is in my phone. Go to wherever you have the most, whether that's your Facebook friends or your Instagram followers or your phone contacts. And I send out 5 personalized video text messages every single day, Monday through Friday. Nothing to do with real estate, just being a human, connecting with them. There's a couple of different extremes on this, right? If you don't like being on video, that's fine. Start with text messages, get comfortable with it. The reason I like video is it's more personal. And if you send it out at 10 in the morning and the person you're sending it to is sitting at work, they are very likely to be at their desk. They'll look at a text message, they'll forget about it, they'll set it down, and you never get a response. If they see a video that comes through from you and they can't respond right away, they're going to wait, leave it unread, and read it when they can. And your conversion rate, or that conversation rate, goes way through the roof as opposed to just a normal text message. And again, this is just being a human, having conversations. If you saw something that they posted on social media, they just had a baby, they just got married, they just went on vacation, their kid just graduated with honors, whatever it is, talk about those things. If you haven't talked to them in a while, just say, hey, I was scrolling through my contacts, cleaning them out. I came across your name. Man, it's been forever since we've had a conversation. I would love to catch up and just see how things are going in your life. Hope that you and the family are doing well. Let me know when you have a few minutes to chat, or if you want to grab coffee or a drink sometime, let me know, right? Quick, 10 seconds, send it out. And what that does is I get what I have found for me personally. I do 5 a day. I start at A and I go all the way down to Z, and I'm hitting each person within my contacts at least once a quarter. So everyone within my phone contacts, within my SOI, is hearing from me on a personal side at least once a quarter. And inevitably those conversations lead from one thing to another. And how are the kids? How's work? Okay, now I give a soft pitch on real estate and here's what I'm doing, and I move on to the next thing, right? But it's just that constant reminder and constantly having conversations with people. So if you were to go and take anything that you should be doing on a daily basis that is quick, easy, and actually going to get to the point, the social 333 and that SOI 5 video text messages a day is a really good start. And then go from there on the channel that you would like to create business that's actually going to come inbound.
I heard a great one on a podcast I did the other day where she said to add to your 5, the SOI 5, she does 5 business cards. So she carries 5 business cards every morning. And when she goes out to the grocery store, and somebody said that business cards are so dated. And I said, I agree. I always tell people, like, those are not going to make your money. But what it forces you to do, though, if you take the business card and pass it out, like at the grocery store, like you have 5 cards that you must abandon by the end of the day, it causes you to have a conversation that you otherwise wouldn't have had. And I replied to that person on my TikTok video about it. And I said, here's the thing. I tell everybody, if your mouth isn't open, your business is closed. And by open, I mean talking about your life, anything. Like if you're not engaging with people, you are closed for business. So all the things you just said are amazing because it causes people. Success loves speed, right? And massive action is what pulls success. I love this. So give me some strategies now, because you've given all these agents amazing ideas, right? But what do they do when they hit setbacks? Because we know it's going to happen and we know some of these things are going to hit walls. What do you suggest?
Yeah, I think it goes back to having a clear understanding of what your daily schedule looks like, right? Because if you're constantly keeping track of what you're doing on a daily basis, you're also keeping context and metrics on what's actually working for you, right? And everything within real estate, you're going to have seasons. It's the real estate roller coaster, it's the transaction treadmill, however you want to look at it, it happens, right? People run into, especially if you're in a very seasonal market, most people are, spring and summer are going to be better, fall and winter, not so great. And so what are the things that were working that have worked in the past that you could double down on today? Just because, and the other thing is the opposite side of that is true. Is just because it worked a couple of months ago doesn't mean it's going to work today, which is why I always recommend keep track of what you're actually doing and the metrics around what you're doing and what's fruitful, so that you can double down on the things that are and the things that give you energy. And so if you are hitting plateaus, if you are hitting that point of, I don't have enough business coming in, I'm not making enough income, I'm not closing enough deals, all of that comes down to not having enough conversations. And so how can we have more conversations? Again, it looks different for everyone, whether it's you're just using social media and cold direct messaging people, whether it's just contacting your sphere of influence and giving them as much much value as you possibly can, whether it's hitting the phones and cold calling, whether it's making another YouTube video, whatever that looks like for you, do more of it. Because when you get stuck, and I would also argue the best time to look back on when you are stuck or when you are slow is don't look at what you just did that week or the week prior. Look back at what you were doing a month and 60 days ago, because if you were lazy then or not doing the right things 60 days ago, that's what really was going on in the business. In real estate, most people aren't ready to transact the moment you speak with them. They need some time to warm up. They need some time to look at homes, get pre-approved, to prep their home. So when you make a contact, the expectation is that's not a paycheck for another 60, 90, 120 days from now at best, right? You get the one-offs who are ready to buy right now and they're going to buy cash and they're going to close in 2 weeks and great. It can't happen. But really, when you hit a plateau in your business, it's not because of what you've been recently doing. Is what was I doing a month, 2 or 3 months ago? Because I guarantee that's where you're going to find the actual answer to what was going right or what was going wrong. The opposite side of that is true. If you had a really good month, go back and look at what were you doing a month before that, 2 months and 3 months before that, because you should double down on those things.
That's fantastic. Okay, I want to do one more question because you mentioned this, you mentioned the market. And I know this is the biggest complaint I hear from all agents. Last year, I don't know if you, but 70% of agents sold one house. So, what do you have to say about the market and those challenges in keeping momentum? We're going to wrap this whole idea. How does an agent do you face the market challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely difficult. And the numbers will show that, right? The data is out there to show that inventory is low. Even demand has been a bit lower because of where interest rates are at. There's economic uncertainty. We just came through an election year, all of these things that would lead to people putting the pause on buying or selling. But the other thing to keep in mind is that there are still people buying and selling. And the question is, why are you not getting that business? And from what I have experienced is that it is because you do not have the local authority, nor do you have the amount of attention that you actually need. And when I say attention, number one, authority is being viewed again as that Rolls Royce within your market, the authority figure as a real estate agent as it pertains to any particular client avatar or just in general. You don't have that authority mindset and people aren't viewing you as that. And so they're going out of their way, even though they know of you, they're going to look for somebody who might be a little bit better or a different option for those people who are, right? The other piece of that is the attention piece. And that's not just outbound. That's not just through social media content, YouTube videos, or anything else. That's also through the follow-up and the leads that you have been speaking with. Because I can guarantee where a lot of agents go wrong is within their own database. Like we're all taught from the very beginning, build your database, build up your CRM, get everyone that you know into it and follow up with them religiously. But the question becomes, how are we following up? When are we doing it? How consistent are we? And is it even bearing fruit of what we're looking to do? And so I would take a look at your CRM or your database and figure out if I want to give someone value at least once a month for everyone in my database, what does that look like? It's not just a normal reach out and saying, hey, just following up, or hey, are you looking to buy or sell? Or do you know of anyone looking to buy or sell? That it doesn't bring any value. So sit down in front of a calendar. And for the month of January, this is what I'm going to do. January from here on out is going to be my CMA month. I'm sending everyone that I know a CMA. And I'm going to do the same thing as we prepare for the spring. You might do that in March or April because a lot of people start thinking about moving in May and June, right? You might hold a client event every June or July. You might send out for Michigan. Michigan is very seasonal. So one of my touch points is at the beginning of every season, right before we go into the next one. So you have summer, spring, fall, and winter. The right before, I'm sending a home maintenance checklist so that they have things that they're checking off of here's what I need to do to prepare for this next season, or what do I need to do walking out of this season, right? So like in Michigan, you want to shut off the sprinklers, your irrigation system, get them blown out, make sure that your pipes aren't freezing. Many people forget that, but if you're simply just sending a little checklist and you're sending that once a quarter or once a season, so 4 times a year, it's another touch point where it's actually value. So again, a lot of different information, but hopefully helpful.
Do you have a podcast? Because you should. You got some really great information. I'm definitely going to earmark this one to share with agents that I know because everything you talked about is fantastic. Guys, everyone listening, can they find the Wealthy Realtor Method? Can they find you?
Yeah. So what I would say the best place to find me is on my Instagram. Just follow me on Instagram. It's Nick Harris _realtor. So just first name, last name _realtor. You'll find me on Instagram if you want to check out what I do and how I help agents. The link for that is in my bio. Again, it'll direct you to a video sales letter, a page of case studies with agents that we are currently working with and have worked with. And feel free to book a call with me. I'd love to have a conversation and just a strategy call with you to see what's working or what could be better in your business. But yeah, just reach out to me on Instagram, Nick Harris _realtor, and love to chat.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. It is so great to get to know you. Anyone looking up in Detroit, you want to definitely get in touch with them as well. But thank you so much. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And we enjoyed having you on the podcast.
Thank you, Renee. I appreciate it.
That's it for this episode of Platinum Agent Podcast. If you're ready to take your business beyond gold and into platinum, let's connect. Reach out to me at this email, renee@reneeruthofficial.com, and we'll make something happen. Don't forget, hit subscribe because Joshua and I will be back with more insights. Until then, go platinum.